Okay, so today we will be starting Module 2. And the first topic of Module 2 will be the cultural history in the early Philippines, no? Particularly the pre-colonial period of the Philippines. So let us start investigating what types of technology were there. I will do a share screen. Okay, can you see my slides? Can you see my slides? Okay. So let's begin. So the first cultural phase of the Philippines, no? The time when human beings appeared in the Philippines would constitute the Metal Age phase, no? Metal Age cultural phase, no? Actually, sa lahat naman ng bansa, no? In all other countries and other parts of the world, it is always the Stone Ages that is the first, particularly the Old Stone Age. So we divide the cultural phases in the Philippines as a Stone Age, and within the Stone Age there is an Old Stone Age and a New Stone Age, and then after that a Metal Age for the Philippines. Let's first go to the Old Stone Age. Technically, this is known as Paleolithic Age. Paleo means old and lithic means stone. Okay, the Paleolithic Age or Stone Age. This is the cultural phase or era when man first appeared in the Philippines. Most of us would say arrived in the Philippines because it is hypothesized that the lineage of human beings is from Africa. No? Ultimately from Africa. Some archaeologists could or even anthropologists could trace that lineage going back, no, ultimately to Africa. So that was the time from the appearance of man in the Philippines until 10,000 BP or 10,000 years before present. The economy during that time is one of foraging, a gathering of food resources, plant resources, and also animals. No? But when we talk of game animals, we usually apply the term hunting. Okay, so foraging, gathering, and hunting. These are the economic mode during that time. Wala pa noong domestication or planting. No? Planting of crops, wala pa yan. No? Livestock, wala pa rin. So all of the necessities has to be directly acquired from the environment at the moment, no? Or sabihin natin a few days before they could use it, no? A few days or a few hours, up to a few hours before they should be using it. Unlike today, we can plant and we can care for livestock so that we have a steady supply of food. The environment during that time is a little bit different from that of the present. Okay? So in geological parlance, if we take a look at the periods, this is the Pleistocene epoch. Okay, the Pleistocene epoch, which is characterized by glaciations all over the globe. Pero hindi naman all the time during the Pleistocene ay makapal yung ice. No? So there are cycles, but most of them, no, they have this phase of cold weather, and so the water in the sea would be sequestered into ice, no? In the form of glaciers, especially in the temperate regions and the polar zones, and also in the high altitude areas of the world, even in the tropical zones. In the tropics, this was not, we really do not have glaciers at sea level, but we have cycles of increased rainfalls. So there was much rain compared to the later epoch. There was much rain. But the higher altitude areas, like, for example, in Southeast Asia, no, the highest parts of Southeast Asia, like the Mount Kinabalu in Borneo, no, is also covered in glaciers. Same thing with the highest mountain of Indonesia and the island of New Guinea is also or was also covered with glaciers. Until now, it is covered with glaciers, although it is smaller compared to the time of the in the time of the Pleistocene, and it is fast receding because of changes in the climate, no? Because the climate is getting warmer. Okay, so this is the situation we have, no, with glaciers in Southeast Asia. Of course, the highest mountains in Southeast Asia, which is in what country? Myanmar. Okay, because a part of Myanmar lies at the edge of the Himalayas, Himalayan range. So of course, those are the highest mountain ranges in the world, and it is still covered in glaciers. Okay, so what can we expect with this? We would see the sea levels during that time becoming lowered as much as perhaps 100 meters or more below present levels. And you could imagine what the effects would be. No? It would be exposing the shallow parts of seas, no? And transform it into dry land. Okay, at this point, do you have any questions so far? Any questions? Okay, so we have mentioned that human beings during that time, no, also in the Philippines, were nomadic. Ibig sabihin, they have to be moving around, no? They have to be moving around in order to secure their daily necessities for food, because they still have no technology for domestication, for plant and animal domestication. So depending on the seasons, if there is rainy weather, no, or the rainy season comes in, the fiesta sila, no? Because the resources are readily available. That when it is the dry season, they have to move and go to places where there is an ample amount of food, particularly at or near water bodies like rivers or lakes or the seacoast or marshy areas, no? Swamps. During that time, they also have no permanent residence. So they have to make do with caves, or if not, they would have to perhaps shelter in a part of a forest or a group of trees that could afford them protection from the elements. Okay. And of course, they have to move often, no? Because of the need to obtain the resources. The technology during that time, no, would be of stones, but not only stones, because stones are the ones, no, stone artifacts are the ones that have survived. And so it is the ones, no, these are the ones that are represented in the archaeological record. But of course, they have also made artifacts, no, other than stones, other from that those of stones, like those made of wood or other plant parts. In the Philippines, we have bones and shells, okay, that have been used as, that may have been used as for artifact making. The type of organization that they had, hypothetically, was the band. We have mentioned earlier, no, during our first lecture, that the band is composed of individuals, maybe forming an extended family, okay, a group of individuals directly related to one another, no? And they are the ones that move together, no, when they need to transfer residence and look for food or protect themselves from the elements, no? So I would like to emphasize these kinds of artifacts that were used during the Paleolithic age. We have the core tool and the flake tool. Okay, the core tool is a stone that was fashioned into a useful object. So for example, if we have, I don't have any example that I can use here, no? So just imagine, for example, if you have this eraser, no? And I would like to make it into a useful artifact, no? Just imagine that it is a, halimbawa, no, this eraser is a stone that I have found in a riverbank that I want to fashion into an artifact. Okay. So this raw material is my core, C-O-R-E. Okay. It is a core. And if I modify it, no, taking off parts of this core to transform it into a useful tool, for example, it is now a core tool. Okay, a core tool is directly made from modifying a core. A core is the raw material or stone that you will transform into a core tool. Okay? Malinaw ba yon? The core and the core tool. Malinaw yon? Yes or no? Yes? Okay. So that is a core tool. Now, a flake tool naman. What is a flake tool? Suppose I have again a core, no? Just imagine this eraser to be the raw material or a stone or the core that I have found in a river, on a river bank. And then I want to make a flake tool. So I chip off a part of it, no? I chip off a part of it, and that part is now known as a flake, no? It is a flake. If I modify that flake into something useful, no, that that would be a tool, no, and it is now a flake tool, which is another kind of artifact. Okay, so yun yung pagkakaiba ng core tool at flake tool. Yun, for both you need a core, but for the core tool, you modify it by perhaps most of the time taking off parts of the core in order for you to transform it into a tool. So that is a core tool. Doon naman sa flake tool, you take part of it and then that part, you fashion it into a tool. Yun yung flake tool. Okay? Malinaw pa? Na? Malinaw ba? Okay. So do not forget that yung core, ano yung core, ano ang core tool, at ano ang flake tool. So these are examples of core tools. It might not look like a tool, but when it was new, it may have functioned very well. Ano ba ang gamit ng core tools? Madalas medyo may kalakihan yan, no? The ones that you can hold, no, with your 5 fingers in order for you to use to use the artifact. Halimbawa, it could be a hammerstone. It could be a hand axe, no? A chopping tool, no? Or a chopper. Yan yung madalas na gamit ng core tools. Okay, hand axe or chopper. Or maybe even a hammerstone, no? Pampukpok. If you can imagine a chisel, halimbawa, no? Yung pait, you need, most of the time, you need a hammer in order to use the chisel. Okay, so yun yung function, ganun din yung function ng hammerstone. So if you need to chop, halimbawa, no, kung saan ba natin ginagamit yung mga choppers? Maybe in chopping wood, pwede, no? But if we want to process the carcass of animals for food, like your lechon, halimbawa, no? For those of you who are eating lechon, ano yung madalas na ginagawa sa lechon? So we cut it into smaller pieces, no? So first of all, the chef or the one who is distributing it to the table would chop the whole lechon into few to several pieces, no? And then one by one he gets those pieces and then gets the meat from it, the balat or the meat from it, no? In order to serve it to people. Diba ganun yung lechon, no? So we need a chopping instrument for that. So in earlier times, ganun din yung ginagawa nila, no? So these were taken or assumed by the core tools, no? Yung function nito. So you need to chop meat and bone. You need to cut them. Also, certain plant parts, no? Like the ones that are strong and can't be processed or cut by a knife alone. Okay, these are your flake tools. Na flake tools. Saan ginagamit ang flake tools? Generally, compared to core tools, these are smaller tools. Okay, smaller tools. Panghiwa, halimbawa. You can use that for cutting things, cutting meat. No? If you could imagine, for example, you cutting a tomato or an onion or maybe a chunk of pork or chicken, no, in your kitchen, ganon din yung gamit ng flake tool nung panahon. Okay. Which is different, of course, from that of an axe. Diba? Iba yung axe. Halimbawa, if you have cut the whole lechon into a few pieces, yung halimbawa belly ng lechon, no? you have to cut it even into smaller pieces. So that would be the function of a knife, no? And in ancient times, that have been taken up by the flake tools, no? Those functions. Okay, so ganun nyo isipin, no? Para mas madaling makuha kung ano yung mga gamit nito, no? And if you take a look at this illustration, siguro mag-iisip kayo, paano kaya nakakaputol ito, no? Nakatulad nung kutsilyo namin sa kusina? Well, if it is newly made, it can even cut you, no? It can even wound you. For example, if you make flake tools, no? Maybe do some experiments in making flake tools. No? Kasi if you make flake tools, chances are you should chip off parts of a core, no? Which is not really easy. No? And in the process, it could also you could sustain cuts by doing it. Okay. So if you like to experiment on it, you better wear gloves. And these flake tools, when they are newly made, they are really sharp. Okay, they are really sharp. So any questions so far? Any questions? Flake tools, core tools, and the core. Okay, if none, let's move into the next slide. Okay, so these are the archaeological sites where stone tools, those artifacts from the Paleolithic or the Old Stone Age were found. We have at least two major sites in the Philippines that supply us with information from the Old Stone Age. One is the Cagayan Valley, okay, in the northern Philippines. And maybe some of you here are from the Cagayan Valley, no? Maybe from Cagayan or Isabela. And the other would be Palawan, where your Tabon Cave is. Your Tabon Cave complex is. So in particular, we have a site in Kalinga, no, near Tugigaraw, no, the flat areas of relatively flat areas of Kalinga, no, or low altitude areas, which is near the Cagayan River. And this showed core tools, no? Core tools and the bones of extinct animals like the stegodon. No? The stegodon is an elephant-like animal which lived in the Philippines during the Old Stone Age, or even older, no? during previous times, no? Before the perhaps the advent of man in the Philippines. Okay. Aside from that, we also have archaeological sites in the foothills of the Sierra Madre, like Emi Cave and Calao Cave. Particularly in Calao Cave, we have seen the remains of now the oldest human-like being in the Philippines that we have dubbed or named Calauman. He or she is not really Homo sapiens like us, no? And these individuals were assigned a separate species. So in Calao Cave, the oldest cultural layer by excavation dates to 25,900 years before present, no? So around 26,000 years before present. But the remains of this hominin or this human-like being is older than this. So this has been only dated through excavation because of the layers in the archaeological site. But the remains of Calauman have been dated through chemical dating methods. And the dates are, saan tayo? Excuse me, nawala yung aking okay. The dates of Calauman extend beyond that. So it's around 60,000 years before present. Okay. So in Calao Cave, we've seen other archaeological evidences of habitation like flake tools and evidence of hearths. Yung hearths ay yung dapog kung saan ka nagluluto, no? Yung pinagsigaan. So a characteristic of hearths would be the presence of charcoal, okay, or ash and charcoal, no? And oftentimes the presence of stones, no, that have been placed around this area of charcoal. Also animal bones, and then we have parenchyma tissue of tubers. So at this stage, no, in archaeology, we can already look not only into artifacts and bones, but also into the remains of plants, like the tissues of plants. So when you examine this through microscopy, you will see the cellular ultrastructure of these tissues. So that is why they have identified it as parenchymal tissues. Also, phytoliths. The phytoliths are hard inclusions in the cells, no? Cells of plants. So the grasses in particular have signature phytoliths. So when you see a particular kind of phytolith, you can identify it to a particular taxon of grasses. The remains of Homo luzonensis has been fossilized. Ibig sabihin, the original organic material, no, of bone have already been have already disintegrated. And what remains would be the mineral structure that have taken the place of these organic compounds. So these are fossils. Yung fossil, hindi na mismo yun yung or organic component ng bone na yon, kundi yun yung minerals na galing dun sa environment, no? Or yung matrix nung animal or plant remains para bumuo ulit ng form niya. Aside from the Cagayan Valley, we also have Palawan. Palawan is another source of Paleolithic information for the Philippines. In fact, I think it was before the Cagayan Valley was investigated, first was Palawan that they were excavating in the 1960s during the time of Robert Fox. I think you're familiar with Robert Fox. Ano? In your History 1 or your Philippine history. So the dates for Tabon Cave would be from the Paleolithic down to the 2nd millennium CE. So it has a, well, rather long occupation period. For Tabon Cave, artifacts such as flake tools were found. And during the time of Fox, the dates have been made by stratigraphy, meaning the layers, no? The arrangement of layers in the archaeological sites, and also the dating of charcoal. The dating of charcoal would be through radiocarbon dating, no? Carbon-14. Now, for fossilized bones, human bones that have no carbon anymore, they have to resort to other dating methods like uranium-thorium dating or potassium-argon dating for other artifacts. Okay, so these two areas, no, would be containing much of our Paleolithic culture. But of course, Paleolithic culture in the Philippines is not or was not only limited to these two areas, because in some other parts of the Philippines there are also evidences, no, but the majority have been turning up in these areas. For Palawan, it is easy to explain that because during the Pleistocene, when seawater was sequestered into the glaciers, no, and the ice sheets, the sea, no, consequently exposed the shallow parts, no, or continental shelves of Southeast Asia, no? And the continental shelves in our region is extensive. So once the sea level goes down to around 100 meters or more, it would expose a large part of that continental shelf. And perhaps through this, Palawan may have been connected to Borneo. Okay, Palawan may have been connected to Borneo. Although some archaeologists and geologists would say that maybe not, no? But still separated by a very narrow channel. Although kahit na narrow channel yan, makakatawid ka pa rin. No? Man could do the crossing, even big animals could do the crossing, no? Through swimming across this narrow channel or strait. Okay, so we have an example, no? Halimbawa sa Singapore, no? Singapore is an island, no? Singapore is an island, no? It is a country made up of the big island of Singapore and also of some smaller islands, no, around it. Okay. During the, I forgot, no, 90s yata or even 2000 na. Just several years ago. In one of the islands of Singapore, in Pulau Ubin, no? So Pulau Ubin is separated, no? From the main island of Singapore. They found elephants, no? Na before that wala namang elephants. Okay? But elephants have been living in Malaysia. Malaysia is part of the Asian mainland, which is the homeland of the elephants. No? So from Malaysia, Thailand, Myanmar, India, lahat yan. No? May mga wild elephants dyan. No? So during that time, no, when the news appeared, they have reported na, uy, mayroong elephants sa Pulau Ubin, no? A smaller island, no? Which is also part of Singapore. So paano nangyari yon? There is a narrow strait separating Pulau Ubin from Malaysia. Actually, when you are in Pulau Ubin, matatanaw mo na yung mainland ng Malaysia. Hindi naman siya kalayuan. But still, it is the sea. No? It is not a river, but the sea. So this narrow channel, no, can be crossed by animals such as elephants. In fact, there have also been reports of a tiger naman, tigers, no? Pero hindi nila nakikita, walang nakakita, no? So they are not sure if it's true na may tiger. And some other smaller mammals na meron din ganyan, no, na nagko-cross. So this would explain, no, the appearance of some animals in islands, especially if the islands are just separated by a narrow channel from the original homeland of these animals. And maybe this could also explain the presence of particular animals together with humans in Palawan. Okay, because it may not have been connected to the Asian mainland during the Pleistocene, no? But a narrow channel, no, is sufficient, no? It is enough, no, to explain the existence of animals that you see in Palawan, which are not found in the rest of the Philippines. No? Animals which are also similar to the animals in the Asian mainland. And also, it is not hard to explain why humans have been there and have a long history in Palawan. But in the Cagayan Valley, medyo mahirap pa-explain yun. No? So up to now, we cannot put forward an explanation how early man-like beings appeared in Cagayan. Okay. Any questions at this point? Questions? Questions? Are you still there?
No questions po, sir.
Okay. Sige, let's continue. So this is just to show you the dates of the Tabon remains. So they have dated at least 3 samples. The frontal bone is a part of the skull, yung noo, no? The bone of your forehead is the frontal bone. And it gave a date of, dito sa huling column, 16.5 years, 16.5 thousand years before present. Okay, so this is through uranium-thorium dating. Uranium-thorium dating. And then another, the right mandible, which gave a date of 31,000 years before present. And then thirdly, a fragment of the tibia. Okay, yung mandible, alam nyo naman, no? Yung panga, yung bone sa panga, that is the mandible. So a fragment of that was dated. And then tibia fragment. The tibia is your bone in the leg. Doon sa lower extremities natin, di ba, merong hita, no? Our thigh. Yung thigh, that is the femur, no? The bone in your thigh is the femur. Tapos andyan yung knee, yung tuhod. And then below that is your leg. Nandun yung fibula at saka yung tibia. Okay? So the tibia is one of the long bones in your leg. Now, a fragment of a tibia from the Tabon Cave dates to 47,000 years before present. So this is the oldest for Tabon Cave. And this was dated within the past 20 or so years lang. No? 20 or so years lang. During the time of Fox, wala pang dates na wala pa silang dates na binibigay sa Tabonman, dates na nakuha through chemical dating. Yung dates na inassign sa Tabonman noong panahon ni Robert Fox ay through stratigraphy. So estimates lang. But when archaeologists subjected it to uranium-thorium dating during the past 20 or so years, ito yung nakuha nila. So it is 47,000 years before present. The dates that Fox gave during his time were around, ilan ba yun? At least more than 20,000 years. 20 to 30,000. Mga ganyang dates. Okay, any questions about the Old Stone Age? Old Stone Age. So tatandaan nyo, no, dun sa Old Stone Age, kung ano yung buhay ng tao doon. So they were, in terms of subsistence and economy, they have to acquire their necessities, especially food, directly from their environment. No? So even during our times, so meron pa rin gumagawa naman niya. Diba? Especially during the rainy season. Because during the rainy season, there are more plant and also animal resources that are available. Halimbawa, yung growth ng kangkong sa ilog ay nagiging malago. No? And then some of your vegetables like your saluyot, which only appear during the rainy season, at least yung wild, no? And mostly saluyot is wild naman. Huh? So it is present during the rainy season and people would get it. No? In the dry season, you cannot do that. No? Seldom do you see saluyot in the dry season, wild saluyot. Also, if you are, I don't know if you are familiar with Ararawan. Ararawan in Ilocano and Kamaru. Are you familiar with that? Yung mole cricket, no? So some people consider this as a delicacy. So the mole cricket, madalas ginigisa yan, no? It is only available during the start of the rainy season when they plow their rice fields. Okay, and also yung edible frog. Okay, if you are eating frogs, diyan mo lang din makikita yon, no, during the rainy season. So this was the pattern during the Paleolithic age. So people were also nomadic. They have no permanent residence because they have to rely on the seasonal patterns for their food resources and also for other necessities. And they have artifacts that they could use, no, in order to gather and process their food resources and also to address certain needs, no, for homes, maybe for clothing, no, and other things. By the time of the New Stone Age, okay, the dates for the New Stone Age would be from the end of the Paleolithic to 2,500 years before present. Okay? The Paleolithic ends at 10,000 BP, di ba? So from 10,000 BP to 2,500 BP would be your New Stone Age. So by the time of the New Stone Age, there was a change in climate, no? So all over the world, no, temperatures were rising, which caused the melting of the glaciers and also part of the polar ice caps, which resulted in the increase, no, of sea levels or a rise in sea levels. And so people have to adapt. No? They have to think of ways in order to survive because of the changes in happening in their environment. No? And also because of their experience, they have perhaps accumulated sufficient knowledge in order to maintain their food supply. Maybe they have examined some plants and animals that they could take care of in order to help them maintain their food resources. Okay, so this was the time when the domestication of plants and animals began, the New Stone Age. Because of that, because you have to take care of animals and plants, you have to guard them. And by this time, there was a tendency to settle more or less permanently in a particular place. So this kind of residence would entail also other family members and the succeeding generations to settle with their relatives and the older generation. So in here we can see the beginnings of village life and also town life. There was increase in population growth because of the increased availability of food resources. Okay, and aside from that, because there were a lot of things going on, you know, they have also to manage their relationships with one another, you know, within the community and also with other communities. They have to manage how they could take care and continue, no, their supply of food and other resources. And therefore, they have to think of ways, no, in order to do this management. So at this time, no, we can say that the beginnings of social organization, more complex forms of social organization is starting. Of course, that would not be possible without new artifacts. So first is pottery. No? Pottery generally is said to have appeared during the Neolithic, although some archaeologists would contest that. But generally, we can see a pattern that in most countries around the world, when we take a look at their archaeological record, the first pottery appeared during their Neolithic or New Stone Age. So ano ba yung nagagawa ng pottery? Kasi noon, pag wala kang pottery, limited ka lang sa ihaw siguro, no? You cannot cook food with broth. For example, you are just limited to maybe roasting, or maybe throwing some shells or snails in the fire, or even meat, in order to cook it. But now with the appearance of pottery, you can cook it with broth. You can also get water from a source, maybe from the riverbank or from a well, and then store it whenever you need it. No? You just get it. So medyo mas madali na yung buhay ngayon with the advent of pottery. Ano pa yung advantages with pottery? You can also create some other kinds of food, like you can do fermentation. Okay, siguro yung lugaw, no, yung pwede ka magluto ng lugaw. Yung kanin, lalagyan mo siya ng tubig and then patagalin mo, lugaw na. After that, para mas malaki yung variety, you can also ferment it para gawing buro, which is aided by a vessel, no? Like those pottery vessels. Okay, so these kinds of things were made possible by the appearance of pottery. Although some archaeologists would say that in Southeast Asia, even without pottery can do these things, because there are things in the environment that can be used in order to maybe boil broth or liquid, or maybe use it to ferment food, sabi ng ilang archaeologists, which could not be found in other parts of the world. Diba? So can you think of one material that could do that without pottery? Meron bang material na kahit wala tayong kaserola, walang palayok, ay pwede tayong magluto na may broth? Or pwede tayong magdala ng tubig? Sige ha. May naiisip ba kayo? Halimbawa, you are in a remote area, no? Pero sagana naman yung ano niyo doon, halimbawa yung plant resources niyo. Ano yung pwede niyong gamitin? Kung gusto niyo magluto halimbawa ng kanin, shells, no, or husks from Andre. Yes, you are correct, no? Yung shell pwede rin, no? Especially the giant clam, no? Although of course you need to acquire that clam, no? Kung minsan nasa malalim 'yon, no? Although at times kung minsan nasa mababaw rin naman. And then husks, coconut husks, pwede rin naman. Wag mo nga lang susunugin ng gusto. Okay, so shells, especially from the giant clam, husk. Are there other materials that you can mention? Meron pa ba? How about bamboo? Diba? Bamboo are abundant in the Philippines and also in Southeast Asia. Also in China. Okay, with bamboo you can store liquids. You can cook rice in bamboo, no? Or even food with broth. Okay? So ganyan ang gamit ng mga vessels. Other things other than pottery, there are more stone artifacts, and these are more refined than the earlier core tools and flake tools. So we have blades and adze. I will show you later, no, what the blade and the adze looks like. Other implements and also body ornaments, beads, pendants, and also spindle whorl. The spindle whorl is an artifact that may have been used for processing fibers, so that you could use it for sewing. So just imagine your spool, the one that you are using for sewing. So the spool, its function is used for winding thread ganun din perhaps yung naging gamit ng spindle worm. Also fish hooks. By this time, you can do a lot of things and you are not limited to just hunting with maybe crude tools or weapons, no? O kaya yung pamukpok lang. Pupukpukin mo yung isang animal para mahuli mo. So at this time, you have more sophisticated kinds of tools. Yes, are there any problems? Okay, other things. So aside from fish hooks, there's also a...
Phase 1 po.
Ano yun?
Opo.
Hello. Okay, do you have any problem? Any problem, Sala? Or accidental?
Sir, I think he's on unmute. He's on unmute, sir. Rico.
Okay. So for all of you, please mute yourselves muna. And if you have any question, that's the time you unmute yourself. Okay, ano pa yung naiwan dito? Yung construction of houses. Construction, okay. Sige. Okay. So to continue construction of houses, our first evidence for houses, no, which means a more sedentary way of life, no, a more permanent form of settlement, no, or residence would be found in the Neolithic. And our first evidence for this, no, our earliest evidence for this in the Philippines is in Isabela, the province of Isabela. It is not really in the Cagayan Valley part of Isabela, but in the coast, no, on the coast, in Palanan, Isabela. Okay, so we have two artifacts, two new artifacts here. The blade and also the adze, no? First is the blade. The blade is made from a long stone flake. The length should be more than twice its width, and it is like the other stone tools, a wedge. Okay? It is made from a long stone flake, and the length should be more than twice its width. That is our definition of a blade. So it has to be long, no? A long artifact. The adze, meanwhile, is also like a blade, no? It is at the same time symmetrical like the blade, also an elongated implement. It is also a wedge. But the adze is like your core tool, no? A more sophisticated type of core tool. Sabihin na lang natin na ganon. Whereas your blade is a more sophisticated type of your flake tool. Okay? So just imagine, no, how you would make your core tool and also your flake tool. When the Neolithic comes, yung version nila, no, the new versions of these tools respectively would be the adze for the core tool and also the blade for the flake tool. Okay, can you visualize, no? Or can you get what I'm saying? So for the adze, the cutting edge is at one end of the ends of the artifact's length. Okay, para siyang if if you know the asarol or the hoe, no? The gardening tool, hindi yung piko, no? Hindi rin yung pala, malayo sa pala yun. But the hoe, the one which you use for tilling the land, no? Or cultivating the plots in a garden. Ganon yung ads. So this is just to show you archaeological sites of the Neolithic, no? Archaeological sites of the Neolithic in the Philippines. The earliest evidence for residences would be in Dimulit, Isabela. No? So Dimulit is the archaeological site in Palanan, Isabela. And the archaeologists that excavated this site have found pottery and also post holes. Now, what are post holes? These are holes, no, evidence of holes in the ground that have been the sites of insertion for house posts. So we call them post holes. And this dates to around 5,000 years before present. In Masbate, they have found old pottery dating to 6,700 BP. Now, one of the oldest pottery in the Philippines, so you take a look at the one below. No? One of the oldest is in Tawi-Tawi, in the site known as the Balubok Rock Shelter. The pottery or potsherd, no? The piece of pottery there, no? Or the potsherd dated to 7,945 years before present. Okay, so that is one of the oldest pottery in the Philippines. Yung isa pang oldest ay nasa Cagayan Valley. Dated to around the same time, 7,000 years before present. Also, we have this famous Manunggul jar, which was found in Palawan, in Manunggul Cave, part of the Tabon Cave complex in central Palawan. The dates given to this jar would be at the terminal phase of the Neolithic, which is 2,890 BP. Okay? Papatapos na yung Neolithic during that time. Okay, regarding the blades and the adze, ito na yung mga itsura nila. So for the blade, so the blade would be an artifact formed from a, did I define the blade here? Okay, the blade is an artifact that is like a flake tool. So it was hewn out of the core. Pero bago mo tanggalin yung flake dun sa core, you have to fashion the core such that it would become polyhedral. And also medyo cylindrical in shape. No? It has to be that way. It has to be relatively cylindrical in shape. So you chip off that piece of flake, no, from the core, so that you can fashion it into a blade. No? And by doing so, consequently, the length would be more than twice the width if you made the core to be cylindrical in shape. Cylindrically long. Cylindrically long. Okay, so ito yung blade. No? You could use this for many other artifacts. Just imagine a penknife, halimbawa, no? Or a kind of material that you can fashion out into many different forms of tools. Ito yung naging function ng blade. So once you have taken that piece of flake, no, elongated flake from a modified core, you can make an arrowhead out of it, no? Just like the ones that you are seeing on the illustration. You can also make a needle, a crude needle out of it if you need to sew your, halimbawa, your hides. Ano pa yung pwede nyong gawin? Pwede ring fish hook. Okay? At kung ano-ano pang artifact. Yung adze naman, no, would be a core tool but is more sophisticated than that. No? It is more refined. Mas maganda yung yung mas medyo pulido yung gawa niya. So essentially, it is also a core tool. Pero mas symmetrical yung form. Unlike with the hand axe, it is not necessarily symmetrical. But there's a tendency to make it that way so that you can hold it comfortably with your hand. Okay, so ganito yung itsura ng adze. Yung functional end ng adze, which is the one below, no, in this illustration, is the one that could cut or chop material. For the blade, madaling isipin kung ano yung function. For the adze, ano yung function natin dito? We use the adze for we use the adze for cutting bigger objects like chopping wood, no? Chopping wood and also tilling the soil, just like our hoe or asarol. So during that time, no, in the Neolithic, makikita natin yung pagpapalit ng environment. Forests are being felled during this time, no? There is an accelerated cutting down of trees and the processing of perhaps wood, no, in order to make more artifacts, so like houses, maybe boats, etc., etc. Also the continuous modification of the landscape by tilling the land, preparing the way for large-scale agriculture. Okay, excuse me. Hello? Hello kayo, Bowie? Ay, ay, may klase ako ngayon. Tawag ka na lang. Anong oras ka nandyan? Ano na lang, mamaya tatawagan kita. Ulit. Sige, sige. Okay. 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 Sorry for that. So adze and then pendants. Yung pendants naman, in particular, this one that you can see in the illustration is made of shells, no? Cone shells. Yung snail na type ng shell, no? You get that piece where you can see that whorl, and then you can make it into a pendant, no? Body ornament. Okay, so these are the illustration, archaeological illustration of the post holes in Isabela. These are the stone and shell adses from the Batanes. So for the Neolithic, archaeologists generally in the present are conventionally agreed that the Neolithic have started from the northern part of the Philippines before spreading throughout and also into other parts of Southeast Asia. Okay, so we can see the older artifacts in the northern Philippines, like the adze, the first evidence for houses, early pottery. So this is just to show you the artifacts that we have seen in Cagayan. The oldest evidence also for rice would be in the Cagayan Valley, in Solana, Cagayan. Okay, dated to around 3,800 BP. So that would be around the time centuries, no, several centuries before the time of our Greek philosophers. Okay, so around 1 millennium before our Greek philosophers. Also, one of our oldest potsherds is in Cagayan. So aside from Tawi-Tawi, we also have one in Cagayan from the Laurente Cave. The one in Laurente Cave also dates to around 7,000 to 8,000 years before present. Aside from that, there are also other archaeological sites that are showing older, relatively older artifacts compared to the other parts of the Philippines. Okay, so pottery is here, no? If you look from the left to the right, no? The one that you can see at the left lower part is our potsherds from Lalo, and in the middle, this is an example of the spindle whorl I am showing you. It could be a spindle whorl, or some would say a fishing a weight, no, used for fishing. And then to the right would be the lingling o. No? This is a kind of body ornament. Okay. We move on to the Philippine Metal Age. The Philippine Metal Age is dated to around 2,500 years before present to 1,500 years before present. And of course, the most important criteria for saying that the archaeological site dates to the Metal Age is the appearance of metals, no, or the existence of metals. So in this order, copper, gold, and then iron. No? So we have the order of appearance. Why? Because copper is easier to obtain and to process than the later materials, especially iron. Iron is more difficult to obtain and to process. No? Again, we can see that the degree, no, or the degree of processing would depend on the difficulty in processing would depend on the melting temperatures of this metal. So for iron, you need a higher melting temperature than the other metals. That is why they come in succession, no? Sequential. The economy during that time, no? So we have foraging, nandyan pa yan, and then hunting, and then during the time of the Neolithic, nandyan yung domestication, plant and animal domestication, and a little bit of perhaps trading. And by this time, there is an acceleration of trade such that they have created surpluses. No? So the increase in food supply would have created surpluses, and also the trade. And then private property, no? Communal or private property. And therefore, we can see here the appearance of more ranked societies, no? Or more complex societies. No? Societies that have generally are forming their social classes. No? So there is a ruling class and there is a commoner class and so on. In the Philippines, we have seen, we are starting to see the earliest kingdoms here, like Butuan. Diba? Butuan is a ranked society. So in theory, we cannot say, no, that Butuan is an egalitarian society, because there is a ruling elite, and also there are commoners in Butuan. The fact that they have what you call wealth, no? Or prestige goods, so would say that the society is already ranked or has stratification. So generally, you know, for the Metal Age, in archaeological terms, no, we can use this criteria: the appearance of metal artifacts. Of course, there are still pottery for everyday use, and then pottery particularly for funerary purposes. Also artifacts for body ornaments, and no stoneware and porcelain ceramics. Okay, we still have no porcelain and stoneware ceramics at this time, because trade with the other Asian kingdoms, especially China, are still to come. So there's differential access by this time to resources, information, and technology. There are kingdoms, for example, that are located at the coast. There are also ones located in the interior. For the ones that are located at the coast, they have this advantage to trade with the other overseas kingdoms. So they are the ones building big water crafts, for example, no? And then they are the ones that are first to receive wealth from the other overseas kingdoms, as compared to the ones in the interior. Of course, the ones in the interior have also their own specialty. They have ready access to forest products, which are also needed by the other overseas kingdoms. So the forest products from the interior locations would be traded into the kingdoms of the coastal areas to be traded, no, in turn with the overseas kingdoms. Okay, so ganito yung naging pattern, no, nung mga kingdoms ng mga panahon na yan. Okay, so proto-historic period. We call this the proto-historic period. This is the late to first millennium CE to the 16th century. And there is an increase in social complexity. So we can see here the appearance of several polities like Butuan, Sulu, Cebu, Tanhay. Tanhay is in Negros Oriental. Bicol, Pampanga, also Manila, and so on. So these are the earliest kingdoms we have in the Philippines. I think you are familiar with Butuan, and also of Manila. Now we have an archaeological site in Manila dating to the 11th century CE. So for Butuan, it would date at around the beginning of the second millennium CE. No? So we are saying here that it is around 1000 CE, no? or around 1000 years ago. Okay, so This is the last slide. Do you have any questions? Any questions? Okay, from Geeky. With regards po sa groupings, bago lang po kami na-inform ni Mr. Saludo na hindi na po siya enrolled in this class. With this, 4 lang po kami for group 5. Okay, please check the list again. I think I have sent you the revised list of members, Geeky. Okay, so para sa lahat, no, I have done changes in the list of members as to these developments. No? Halimbawa, may mga classmates kayo na nag-cancel na ng STS. So, again, please check the lists. Other concerns? Other concerns? Wala na? Okay, so if none, thank you for attending this, and for those who can attend, we will see again each other after 10 minutes. Okay? 10 minutes. You may leave the session now.
Thank you, sir.
Sige po, sir.
Thank you po.